The word pyramid is a Greek word, but the original name, the African name for this structure is Mir. And the word Mir means the place of ascension. Now, the Mir or pyramids were never tombs. There were no bodies ever buried in any of them. The bodies were always buried underneath them. So if we follow this logic, if Mir is a structure that means the place of ascension, then these structures were built over tombs, primarily to facilitate the ascension of the souls buried beneath them into heaven, where they will be reborn. So this grew out of the ancient African concept of spirituality. The ancient Africans in Kemet were the first human beings who wrote about the soul, who wrote about the salvation of the soul, and specifically talked about where the soul of human beings go after they die to be reborn. All of that is documented in a text that is known mistakenly as the pyramid text, found in the tomb underneath the pyramid of Unas, who was the last king of the 5th dynasty. We have a copy of the pyramid text in the tomb that we're currently excavating, the 25th dynasty tomb that we're currently excavating. So we're able to document beyond a shadow of a doubt that Africans were the first people to have a concept of the soul, the immortality of the soul. And then in our 25th dynasty tomb, 2,000 years later, we have a record of Africans having retained that knowledge and recording it on the walls of the tomb of a priest named Karak Amen. There's a profound difference between Kemet and Egypt. Egypt is a Greek word that was used to describe one temple in Kemet. And so Kemet was ruled by indigenous African people by almost 3,000 years. Egypt was ruled by Greeks for approximately 600 years. So if you look at that image on the screen, you can see 9 African rulers of Kemet and 3 European rulers of Egypt. So Egypt is white, but Kemet is African.
I am here today to make a plea for history, to say that history is not something about the past. No, history from the African point of view is something which allows you to have self-respect. It helps you to have a reclaimed identity. It helps you to assert yourself on the social, political and cultural agenda today. So it's a very, very important thing, and in my view, it's been overlooked wrongly. It's very fashionable to talk about education. Education is important. It's the most empowering thing you can give a young child in Africa, and it's true. But what kind of education? Quality education is the thing that's very important, and history is an integral part of that. And not just for people living in Africa, but also the established African diaspora, be it in the Caribbean, be it in Brazil, be it in the United States, whether it's also the more recently arrived diaspora Africans living in the West, all part and parcel of the same history. It's a shared history. It doesn't matter where you live in the world. You are of African descent. Be you, in Brazil, where, by the way, a lot of people don't realize that around 100 million Brazilians, that's about more than 50% of the population, either have African heritage or mixed African heritage. They are the second largest African population after Nigeria, or the African American diaspora, the most powerful and influential diaspora of Africans in the world. Our history is about identity. It's about self-respect. It's about claiming our own narrative. So it's that oneness of the disparate community. It's bringing everybody together under, one banner. Only when lions have historians will the hunters cease to be heroes.